Alex decided to learn more about the history of the house and the Whitford family. He began talking to the locals, but whenever he mentioned the Whitford family, everyone grew silent, and no one was willing to share any details. One afternoon, while browsing through old books at the local library, Alex stumbled upon a research journal by a local historian, Victor Shaw, who had studied the mysterious events in Huntington. The journal was filled with notes about unexplainable phenomena in the Whitford house and rumors about how the Whitford family had been cursed. From the information in the journal, Alex discovered that the Whitford family had once participated in occult rituals in an attempt to achieve immortality. They sought a way to transcend death using dark magic and forbidden rites. In the end, their ritual went horribly wrong. On a stormy night, as they performed one final ritual, they opened a doorway to another world, and the family disappeared, leaving behind only restless spirits. When Alex realized that the rituals had opened a gateway between the living world and the afterlife, he understood that the spirits trapped in the house could never find their way back. It wasn't just the Whitford family who were victims of their own experiments. They were also the cause of their fate. Determined to stop the madness, Alex decided he must find a way to close the door that had been opened, or else the house would forever be haunted by restless souls. Alex began collecting the necessary items to perform a ritual, using what he had learned from Victor Shaw's journal. He knew that to close the door the Whitford family had opened, he would need sacred objects and an ancient incantation that could only be performed on a full moon night. On the night Alex carried out the ritual, the air in the house grew thick with tension. Everything seemed to fall silent, but he could feel the unease in the atmosphere. As the clock chimed, he began reciting the incantation, hoping it would seal the door the Whitfords had opened. However, as Alex reached the final words, a loud crash came from upstairs, and a massive figure appeared before him. It was a ghostly apparition with glowing red eyes and a grotesque face, resembling a being from beyond this world. But Alex wasn't afraid. He focused all his energy into the incantation. "It's not always possible to break the curse," the ghost whispered, but its voice grew faint as Alex finished the final words of the chant. Immediately, everything in the house went still. The spirits began to vanish, and the clock stopped chiming. The house fell silent, as if the hauntings had been lifted forever. The next morning, Alex woke up to a completely different atmosphere. He felt lighter, as if the dark days he had endured were finally over. The house no longer carried the weight of the past. Though the strange events could never be erased from his memory, he knew he had brought peace to the restless spirits trapped within. Alex left Huntington, carrying with him the story of the Whitford family, the occult rituals, and the souls that had been unable to move on. The town remained silent about what had happened, but Alex knew the house was no longer a place of terror. His story would live on in the minds of those who believed in the supernatural, and the Whitford house would stand as a reminder of the dangers of tampering with forces beyond human comprehension. Huntington was a small town nestled between vast fields and quiet streets, where time seemed to slow down compared to the hustle of bigger cities. The population was small, but the town had a rich history filled with mysterious stories that even the locals hesitated to mention. For Alex Parker, a young man from New York who had recently moved to Huntington seeking peace after years of stress, life here offered a strange sense of calm. He rented an old house far from the town center, surrounded by an eerie stillness and towering trees covered in moss. This house, though old, had a strange allure that made Alex feel protected. But what he didn't know was that it held a dark past that the townspeople always tried to forget. The house had once belonged to the Whitford family, a wealthy family that had lived in Huntington in the early 20th century. But no one could remember exactly when the Whitford family disappeared. People only recalled that after the entire family vanished without a trace, the house was left abandoned. And from then on, strange stories of ghosts and paranormal phenomena began to circulate. The first time Alex came to view the house, he couldn't help but be impressed by its exterior. The house was large, with 3 floors, a gray-tiled roof, and old wooden windows. One thing that intrigued him was the large clock placed in the grand hallway, with its chimes ringing whenever the wind blew through. "That's odd, but I'll never feel alone here," Alex thought to himself as he stood looking at the house from the outside. However, the moment he stepped inside, Alex felt something strange. Though the air inside was cold and dim, it didn't seem abandoned. There was an unsettling sensation, as though someone was watching him, even when he was alone. On the first night Alex stayed in the house, he began to feel that something was wrong. The creaking of the stairs whenever he moved around the house only made him feel more uneasy. However, he tried to dismiss the feeling and focus on his work. He was writing a book, and this was his chance to relax and concentrate without interruptions. But on the second night, strange things began to happen. While he was sitting writing in the living room, the lights suddenly went out. Alex got up, thinking it was a power outage. But when he approached the circuit board, he found no issues. He returned to the living room only to discover that the large clock in the hallway had started chiming again, even though it had been stopped for years. The chimes echoed throughout the house, loud and clear, as though someone was controlling it from behind. Alex couldn't explain why, but the strange feeling and the coldness in the air made him uneasy. After a while, he went back to his bedroom. But when he entered the room, something horrifying had occurred. All the objects in the room had moved to new positions, with no sign of anyone having touched them. Items on the vanity, the mirror, everything had been displaced in a bizarre way. He couldn't deny that something was going on in this house. It felt as if an invisible force was controlling everything. The following nights, Alex felt more and more unsettled in the house.